Hello and welcome to another Daily Muppet. This will be a quick video I wanted to make this Sunday evening, Sunday afternoon, just to talk about a couple of things ongoing after United's loss today. But some of the news that came out around it, with it, through it, what have you, on everything that's going on, and just discuss a few of the things that United have potentially to look forward to, a few pieces of news. Obviously, first discussing the game. It's of course generally understood that um, overall United are focused on the Europa League. This is something we know. I'm actually surprised to a degree that we didn't go a lot weaker in the lineup, and I think that to some degree maybe that might influence a lot of people's thinking of the game. The fact that we didn't even use more kids might have people thinking, oh, well, then, the result is very meaningful, and all of that. But really, it's not. I mean, when you break down the game and you look at it, I want to show you, talk about this and show you kind of almost an incredible stat if you think about it. When you look at United's starting lineup, who has played the most minutes in the last 2 years? Can you tell? It's Alejandro Garnacho. So, in a respect here, and if you look at it in their entirety of their United careers, who has played the most minutes for United in the entire starting 11? Luke Shaw, second Alejandro Garnacho, and the third most experienced player is probably Kabi Mainu when it comes to minutes for United, right? So you look at a team like that and you go, yeah, okay. Third youngest lineup in history of the Premier League and United's youngest ever. Um, First start, you know, second start. Um, Mason Mountain's what is his first start in 2 years or 18 months or something like that. Shaw's second start since May 2024. You know, all sorts of things. Delict comes back from injury, rotation keeper. There's nothing to overreact with. United weren't great. I do think one of the things that was good that we can take away from this game is that two of our regular starters in the Europa League, Garnacho and Manuel Ugarte, was probably Ugarte's best game at United. He was actually really good, all things considered. And Garnacho gets a goal and an assist in this game. I think he had some moments, that weren't great in between, but he got a goal, he got an assist, two goals and assists in a game. You have to praise the kind of output when that happens, because at the end of the day, there's a lot of times where he's been decent, but zero output, and that is worthy of criticism. So when you're getting output, you're getting output, and I think that matters. And we need goals, right? The other positives I certainly take away is Ahmad comes on, shows you exactly why he's so good, scores a goal. When the senior team kind of came on, United got in a way a lot better. It almost got worse before it got better. Funnily enough, like we made all these swaps, and then it got worse and we conceded, and then it got better a little bit later on. So I don't know, once they kind of got into a rhythm. But all that being said, no Bruno on the pitch, no Casemiro on the pitch, no Onana on the pitch. Delict goes off early with injury. That was really unfortunate. And with all of that aside, Mount gets a goal, Garnacho gets a goal, Ahmad gets a goal, Garnacho gets another assist, Ugarte gets another assist. I'll take it, all things considered. I really will take that. I think it was fine for what we needed going into this game. Shaw 45 minutes, Ahmad 45 minutes. You keep them safe, keep them protected, make sure you have them for the Europa League, and we'll probably be seeing similar things to this through the rest of the season. But we know it already. We know it. But I did think it was important to see, them get on some of these younger players get on the pitch. And one of the things that we did learn from this game, I take away most of all, and that I really do think is important, is to not underestimate the physicality of the Premier League and how it can chew up and spit out, especially these kids. And why you kind of have to be a bit careful in throwing them all forward, and why I'm often come across a little bit negative as to the concept of whether a lot of these young players will make it. Because in that game, Almas, Fredrickson, and Cheeto, this isn't, and the thing to understand here is this isn't a statement as to their quality. This isn't a statement as to say, oh, they're finished, they're never going to make it, or anything like that. They got chewed up and spit out by they got absolutely bullied by the players they were up against in most instances. Um, the first goal comes right off of Almas losing a header, losing a duel in the box. Um, the second goal, um, I want to say the second goal, unfortunately, De Ligt is down with injury, and Brentford attack during that moment, but it still comes via Almas's side yet again with a cross to the other side by in there. And the third one, another one, a header across in towards Fredriksson's area. Now, I blame him a little less for this, but I actually would say that for Amos, letting a guy onto his left foot in the box right from that angle, not so good. From that deep into the area for a cross getting in. And then again for the fourth goal, it's a run in behind Amos that results in the goal happening. And the thing is it wasn't just the goals; it was all around the physicality of the game. You could tell they had trouble handling it. Brentford are a very well-drilled team under Thomas Frank. They have been for some time. They're very fast. They're very direct. They're very physical. They're very hard to play against in that respect, and they struggle with it. Cheeto, Amram commented on it too. Cheeto, he said there were some things he did well, but you can see kind of naivety in the way he uses his body, where he thinks he's going to be bigger, right? He thinks he's going to be stronger because he's used to playing against smaller players. He thinks he's going to be bigger and stronger and win, but he hasn't really recognized where he's at yet. But that's why he needs to play more, of course, and that's why all these players need to play more. But the leap up in physicality to the Premier League for these kids is huge. And that's why I don't overthink the game too much, because virtually everything happened via unfortunately the kids. And that's just something we have to live with. The other news that came out during the game was from Mike McGrath that stated that United came out right in the beginning of the game, ready to join the race for Brian Mbeumo. Obviously, we're playing against him. Said um, independent of the deal for Cunha. So we see the article here. And when you read, it's interesting the way that it phrases it. It talks about it as though, Cunha could potentially be the 9, or has operated well as a 9, that Mbeumo could be out there on the right side. And I actually quite like this, and I think that there's a lot of merit to a report like this. If we look at what we've talked about in recent times, what was the goal? 2 scores. And we've talked about this explicitly. United might miss out on Liam Delap. I know that for certain. It is far from a done deal. It is far from a sure thing. It is far from something we can say is definitely going to happen. They could very well miss out on Liam Delap. Okay? They could very well miss out on that as a striker target. You need goals. And Cunha's adding a chunk of goals. And then you go to Mbeumo. He's another left-footed player that I think fits what we need quite a lot. I mean, you look at what Ahmad can do when he gets on the pitch. And you look at Mbeumo here, and he's got, look at the numbers here. I mean, he's got 18 goals this season in the Premier League, 6 assists. He's even got more on the expected assists, which is what it is. He's a great scorer in the Premier League, and he rated really highly alongside Cunha as if we wanted goal scorers in the front 3, 2 of our main guys. Now you can see that Cunha operates in a more wide variety of areas, whereas Mbeumo is more explicitly on the right. And so you could certainly see a world where we say, hey, we cannot get our striker target, we cannot get Delap on the money. He's going somewhere else. Mbeumo's high up on our list. He's a top target that we really like. Do we go for Mbeumo? Do we go for Cunha? Do we run out, a combinations of Mbeumo, Cunha, Bruno, with Xerxes at times, with Højlund if he's here at times, with Ahmad in there at times? Like what different combinations can we run out that make that happen? And I think you would find it to be very plausible. I also think people are going to hate this. I think Mbeumo could very much play as a wingback too, in the same way that Ahmad can. Coming out from wide out to in, he's got a great work rate. He runs hard. He's got the physicality and the legs for it too. So there's a lot of different iterations that it would allow you to do, and we're certainly missing still that right-sided, left-footed player. We've been talking about it with like Mastantuono, why we would want to get somebody like him so bad. So adding another like that gives us on the left, there's Cunha. On the left, there's Bruno. On the left, there's those guys. Then we have Xerxes, and then we have on the right Ahmad, and we have Mbeumo and all that. And it doesn't mean we don't need a top striker. Don't get me wrong. It doesn't mean that. But what it means is that if we cannot get a top striker, and I'm still have my own doubts. Like, if you asked me today, would I give up Delap to go for Mbeumo? I'd probably just say straight up yes. Forget missing out. I'd rather get Mbeumo than Delap. I think Mbeumo will help us more. I don't think we need a 9 in a very direct way necessarily at this stage. I think we need an elite 9, and I'm not sure we're going to get that. And so I would be okay with playing a fluid front three of like Bruno, Mbeumo, and Cunha. You could play Xerxes in the middle and play Mbeumo and Cunha on either side and Bruno deep at times. There's a lot of ways you could do this that would still work very well and add a lot of goals and attacking threat to the team. And it's okay to have a squad. It's okay if we have Cunha and Bruno and Mbeumo and Ahmad and Xerxes, and then next year we add a top striker on top of that. It's okay, right? It's okay to have a squad. You look at why do we have the results that we have today in the league and things like that, and a huge part of it is we don't have the personnel to play in 2 competitions. That's what Amarim said too. We don't have the personnel to play in 2 competitions at the same time. We don't. So let's not worry about where's the space for the players and say, let's get more players who fit. Does Mbeumo fit? 100%. He fits that right 10 like a glove. He also fits the right wing back position. You could do either, just like Ahmad. So if we have 2 attacking threats out there, and you can see once again, Ahmad comes in at right wing back, goes and scores a goal. He's been so good there. If we have 2 players like that, then we're never short. We can always mix and match when we have Cunha, when we have Bruno, when we have all these guys. Cunha can play down the middle as well, very much can. So I'm really, really, we kind of knew this was an idea, right? And I always say, like, okay, we've discussed this exact point about if we go miss on Delap, just buying another forward to attack, that we're getting 2 goal scorers no matter what, and Mbeumo is one of the names on our list. I always like to see reports on it because to me it tends to mean they've done something about it. Usually it means they've made contact. And so I would have the expectation that United might have made some contact here with Wolves and with, Brentford and with Mbeumo's camp to say, hey, what do you think? And I think it would be a great move. He's got a year left. I think one of the reasons we've kind of moved away from him is that Cunha's better value for money and it's a release clause and we know what to do. But it just really depends. If they're going to ask for 60 million pounds, will we do it? Probably not with a year left. But if we can get it in the 45, 50 range with some add-ons or something, then I think it becomes tangibly as good a deal value for money as Delap because I think he's a better player today. And he's only 25. It's not like he's old suddenly. So to me, it would be a really, really shrewd move that shows, we have to be able to be flexible. It doesn't mean we're compromising. It doesn't mean we're poorly squad building because we cannot get it all done in one summer. Even if we sign Delap, it's not done. We might have to go back in the market for a striker next summer. We might have to buy another right-footed 10 anyway. So, right-sided 10, left-footed player. So it's just another step. Like if you were to ask me today, we need a striker, we need a Cunha, and we need another left-footed right-sided player. So however it works, if we get 2 of those, then it's brilliant to me. Then it's a good part of the plan, and it probably will take us till next year to do it. But I'd much rather be rocking up into the Champions League knowing we have like Bruno and Cunha and Mbeumo and these guys who can score goals than not. So I'm a big fan of it. I'm curious to see what people's thoughts are. Let me know on that. But like I've said, I've got my own doubts on the striker targets we're talking about. I don't think we go to 80, 90 million for guys like Ekitike or Sheshko, and I don't think we should. So if we're not going to do that, who's the striker? Well, maybe we're better off if we don't get Delap doing something like this and going for a striker next year with more budget to specifically put on that area. That's my view. Those are my thoughts. The Amarim team doesn't 100% need an exact striker. It needs an outlet. We've seen at times when like Xerxes plays, Garnacho's practically the striker. He's playing as the outlet. The guy making the runs in the channels and all of that. And I think Cunha is certainly capable of doing that, as is Mbeumo. So there's a lot of ways to make this work. He also played with a bit of a false 9 for first few seasons rather than Gyökeres. So Bruno in that front could mix into that. Xerxes can mix into that. There's a lot of options there. So I really like that. So that's an interesting piece of news that I do think is strongly worth following. I think it's got a validity, and I think that there's serious potential that there is something in this for United. Now, there's an interesting report here that comes from, this is huge, and I can't even confirm this yet, but it's if it's true, it's wild. I'm not sold on the journalist on his own, but this is there's I have my doubts on this because it seems odd timing. But let's take a look. It says from Sasha Tavolieri, it says that Luis Campos is in advanced discussions to join Manchester United from PSG as a director of football. Um, it's kind of a strange one. He's obviously an incredible squad builder and team builder, but United have previously pretty strongly stated that they're probably not going to hire somebody else for this. It's already come out a few times when there was rumors of other people that they were satisfied with the setup that they had, with Vivell, with Wilcox, with all of those guys. Timing is a little bit interesting as it's May. They're already working on all their deals for this summer. That being said, it's always the type of thing that, if it were realistic, maybe it comes in after summer or later in summer, and so you start using it to prepare for the next year. The reason it has merit is that Luis Campos is well known to Jim Ratcliffe, to Ineos, to these guys, and is a top operator and somebody that they would have looked at originally. So I cannot say that I'd be able to confirm this one yet. I would be surprised. At the moment, I would be surprised simply because the language and the words that have come out of United in the last few months, from myself, from others, have been mostly that they're not looking to make any more significant hire of like that level of a director. And they're already into the thick of recruiting for this summer. So I don't know. I don't know from a journalist standpoint. I don't know. There's surely a better source that will be able to confirm this if it is true. I will send a message off. I will definitely send a message off um, right now, even, and see if I can find out if there's anything in that. Um, because yeah, it would be a huge move if it's something that happens. Um, because he is a top director. But it would be a shift in the strategy from where they've been at, and represent a little bit of a change from where we were. It would be a little bit of a change from the direction that we were going. So um, in terms of the strategy. But he is a really good director of football, so it's not like you could say, hey, that's a bad idea or something, because he's a top operator. Has a great eye for talent and squad building and all that. But why would he be leaving PSG right this moment? I don't know. They're headed potentially for a Champions League final. There are things about it that are just weird to me on that front. So I'm thinking through it logically before I actually have any answers. But quite honestly, I do think that right now, I doubt it. But I'll send a message off and see. And based on previous conversations that I've had, right now I would doubt that we're gonna get Luis Campos. But it's been a while. I haven't asked about anything on the director's front because as far as the last things that were going out there from United on this, they were happy with the overall executive setup. So that's why it would be surprising. But it's certainly one we'll have to watch. And if I get any kind of clarification before it's already out there, then I will certainly put something out. But it's something worth watching. Meantime, the only other bit of meaningful news on this Sunday is Tottenham, and they're going to be missing, it looks like, James Maddison, as well as Bergvall for the final if they get there, for the Europa League final if they get there. And if we get there, then we will face Tottenham without them. So I think that's a huge advantage for us because really good players gave us a lot of trouble in the past. And it's been hard for us to beat Tottenham. So if we get to the final, and if they get to the final, some advantage probably swings to us in that respect. We need to keep Ahmad and such healthy at the same time, though. We still have enough center backs for now. We still have the wing backs we need for now. We still have the midfield and the forwards we need for now. But we got to hope we don't get any further injuries. So they need to be really, really careful about continuing to maintain this balance in playing, getting through Thursday, and the Premier League games leading up to that. So that's what I have for the moment. I'm gonna track this. I'm gonna track this thing on Luis Campos. I still have, like I said, I have sincere doubts about it, just because of the timing and the language and things that had come out of United in the past. But I will check. In addition, on Mbeumo, I do think that has some serious weight to it, that potential plan, and is one worth watching as United continue to explore alternative targets potentially to Liam Delap. Or in addition, I suppose they could get Delap, they could get Champions League, they could sell Garnacho and get Mbeumo, Cunha, and Delap, in a similar way that we were talking about Mastantuono, that it might require a sale. But so much is up in the air on that. Maybe we don't even have to sell Garnacho. Maybe it's just, if we get Champions League, we could get all three, and we'd have Delap and Xerxes and Mbeumo and Ahmad and Bruno and Cunha and Garnacho. It still seems like too many players when you factor in Mainu and Mount and everybody, but still, the concept of it is there. So one worth watching. That's what I have for today. I'll be back tomorrow with the podcast with Phil, as well as on the Red Carpet Live. So I hope to see you there. Thanks for watching. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, turn notifications on. See you in the next video.